Hey, what's going on guys? Welcome back to another video. So in this video, we will explore the Firebase phone authentication in React application. We will see how we can sign in a user using phone number and verifying the user with the OTP. And we are going to build this feature on the same code base that we have built in a previous video, React Firebase Authentication. So if you have missed that video, then please check out. You can also click on the card above and jump to it directly. So if this sounds interesting, then stick around. Also don't forget to subscribe the channel and press the bell icon so that you don't miss the videos like this one. So let's get started. Alright guys, before we go into our today's main topic, I want to quickly give you all a shout out on a beautiful career program designed by Testbook. For all those who want to build their career as a full stack developer and want to work with big companies. Let me give you key highlights of this program. You will get 65 plus video lessons with 30 plus modules and 50 plus live stream classes and more than 95 hours of live sessions. You will get 2 months internship with certificate where you will build portfolio with 5 hands-on projects and you will get lifetime access and support. Along with that, you will have the project-led curriculum, mentorship and a doubt solving sessions one-to-one for 24/7. Now during this program, what you will learn in terms of the skills. You will learn about the Java and JavaScript, data structures and algorithm, HTML5, CSS, MERN projects, SQL, NoSQL database, Spring Boot, microservices and cloud native. There's a lot to learn in this program. Now let me show you the program structure and the projects that you will build during this program. So you will build the static LinkedIn profile, you're going to build the quiz application, you will build the Quora clone, you will build the Airbnb clone, capstone project, and you will learn the concepts of object-oriented programming along with the data structures and algorithm. And all this project will help you to get the future job profiles like full stack developer, front-end developer, back-end developer, web developer, or a web designer, MERN developer, and an app developer, and many more with the big product-based companies. Now let me show you how you can enroll in this program. So you can click on the apply coupon, and in this you can use my coupon code, which is DPM20, and then you just click on the apply and the coupon code will be applied. Now you will see that you have a discounted price and you just need to click on the buy now. And with this, you will get the extra 20% off on all the career programs that are provided by the Testbook Skills Academy. You will find all the information and the links in the description of the video so that you can check it out later on. And this program is highly recommended. Alright guys, so I'm already using the same application code which we built in our previous video, React Firebase Authentication. So I have cloned the repository, and if you want to clone the repository, then you can go to the GitHub, and here on this repository, what you can do, you can click on the code and then you can click on the copy, and then you can do the git clone and you can clone the repository. And I'm also running my application on a local development environment. So when I run it on the local development environment, I'm getting this error that some of the configuration of the Firebase are not available, which is the app ID, the message sender ID, storage bucket. And that is because that if I go to the source and if I go to the Firebase, then we see that here we don't have the configuration of our Firebase project. So what we will do here is that before giving you a quick walkthrough of the code, we will first go and create the Firebase project. So I will go to the browser, and in the browser, if I go to the console, I will click on the add project, and here I'm going to give the name of the project. So for me, the name will be the phone auth. Then I'm going to click on the continue. I will disable the Google Analytics. I don't want it. Then I will just click on the create project. Alright, so the project is creating, and meanwhile, let me give you a quick walkthrough of the code that we have. So I have a components folder where I have a home component, I have a login component, and I have a protected route which will only be accessible if a user is authenticated. Then I have a sign up component. All right, and for the context, I have a context API which is the user auth context. So let me minimize this, and this user auth context is containing the code which we have written in the previous video, where we have enabled the authentication of email and password and a Google authentication. And in this project, we are going to allow one more authentication, and that is the phone number. So let's go and let's check that is our project in the Firebase is created or not. So I'm going to go to the browser, and here I will see that the project is now ready. So I'm going to click on this continue button, and it is going to take me to the landing page, and here we are going to create a web application. So that's why I'm going to click on this web, and here I need to give the name for my application. So I'm going to give here React phone Auth. All right, I'm going to click on the register app, and this is going to register our app, and we will get the configuration of the Firebase that we can add in our project. All right, so you can see here that now we have this configuration which we can add in our project. So I have already installed the Firebase because we are using the same application code. So that means the Firebase is already installed. And what I'm going to do here is that I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to use this same configuration in the project. So I will go to my Visual Studio Code, and in the Firebase part, what I will do here, I will just replace that. So I'm going to cut and add it here. Now if I save it, then you will see that now we don't have any errors. And now if we go to the browser and if we see, then we should be able to see the application. So if I refresh my page, then we see that this is the application which we already have. So in this application right now, we don't have any mechanism to authenticate a user or assign in a user using the phone number. So let's first create that. So let's go to the Visual Studio Code, and here what I will do here is that I'm going to create a new component. So let's have a new component, and I'm going to name the component as phone signup.js. All right, and what I will do here is that I will just write a snippet. So this will be the snippet, and I'm going to change this to a proper name. So what I will do here is that I'm going to make it a camel case. So this will become the phone sign up, and I will do the relatively same here. So this will become the phone sign up. All right, so now we have the skeleton of the component, and now what we need to do here is that first we need to have the UI, and that UI should be available in our login component, so where we can click on the button. So what we will do, let's go to the login component, and inside the login component we will need a button here. So let me add a button for the sign up with phone. All right, so what I will do here is let's close this, and I will simply going to copy this. So let me copy this, and I'm going to add this below the Google button. So here I'm going to add this, and what I will do here is that I'm going to change this, and I will change this to sign in with phone. All right, and we want the color to be green, so I'm going to give here a variant of success, and this will be of submit type. And we also want that when I click on this link, then we need to navigate to the phone component, and here I'm going to add a link of phone sign up. All right, and then I will just close the link text. So let me cut this, and I'm going to add it here. All right, so now we have this, and what we also want to do is we also want to introduce a route. So let's go to our app.js. So if I go to the app.js, then here we also need a route. So I'm going to do a copy of this, and I'm going to add it here. All right, and this will now become phone sign up, and the component name we have is the phone sign up. All right, so the component will be auto imported, and we have this. Now let's go and let's check that are we able to see the signed in button or not. So what I will do is I'm going to refresh my page, and I see that I have an error. Phone sign up JS does not match on the disk. So let's fix that. So we will go to this, and I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to add it here. All right, and we will just verify here. So I'm going to change this here, and I'm also going to change this here, and we will also change this to here. All right, and now let's go and let's check. Then we see that we have the button, but we don't have a spacing. So let's add the spacing. So I will go to the login, and I'm going to add here the margin top as 3. All right, so let's go back and let's test it. Then we should be able to see now properly the sign up button. So now what we want is when I click on the sign in, then I should be able to redirect to the component of the sign up. So if I go to, then we see that we have the phone sign up. All right, and now we need to design this component. So what I'm going to do is let's go back to our Visual Studio Code, and here if I go to the sign up component, then in this component let's add the JSX first. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to add a multi-line JSX, and here we need a very similar form which we have on our login page. So I'm simply going to copy that. So let me go here, and I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to add it here. So I will copy this, and let me add it here. And now I'm just going to close the form. All right, and then I just close the div. All right, and then I have to close this fragment. And now what I'm going to do here is that instead of this Firebase auth login, I'm going to change this to Firebase phone auth. All right, I will keep this as it is. Then on submit, what we need to do is we need to first get the OTP. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to have the get OTP function here. All right, I'm going to keep this as form basic phone number. So let me change this to phone number. And for the form control, I'm not going to use the form control. For this, I have already installed a package which is the React phone number. So if I go to the browser and if I show you, then this is the npm package which I am already using, the React phone number, and I've already installed it. So you can install it like this, and if you want to use it, then you can simply use it like this. So it's very simple to use it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these two lines, all right, and then I'm going to simply add it here. So let me add it here, and now I'm going to use the form component. So I'm going to change this, and here I'm going to have the phone number, all right, and in this phone number, what else I have to add is I'm going to add some default properties, which will be the default country, and my default country I'm going to add it as PH, which will be Philippines, and then I'm going to have a value. So we need to also give a value, and then I have to add a on change. So whenever I make an changes on the value, then I will need to have the on change. So let me have the on change, and I'm going to give the placeholder. So let me add the placeholder, and I'm going to write the enter phone number. All right, so we have that, and for the value, what we need to do is I'm going to create a state variable which will be a constant, and I'm going to have the number, and I'm going to have the set number. All right, these two will be equals to the use state, and I'm going to give the initial value as empty. So I'm going to copy this number, and I'm going to add the number here, and here what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to have the set number. So whenever I make the changes, it's automatically going to set the number. All right, so now we have it, and what we want is we need two buttons, which will be the cancel and the send OTP button. So for that, what I'm going to do here is that after this form group, I'm going to add a button. So let me have a div with a class name, and I'm going to name it as the button right. All right, and I'm already using the classes which is added in the app CSS. So some of the basic CSS is already added, and rest of the CSS is coming from the React Bootstrap. All right, so let's go back, and here I need to add the button. So I'm going to add the button, which will be a Bootstrap component, and I'm going to give a variant to the button, and the variant will be the secondary, and I'm going to give the button as cancel button. Okay, and I will also need another button. So let me copy this, and I'm going to have another button which will be of type primary. So let me add the primary, and this will have the send OTP. So I'm going to have the OTP here. All right, I need the space between the buttons, so I'm going to add the NBSP. And what I want that whenever I click on the cancel button, I have to redirect back to my login page. So let me add a link here. So I'm going to have a link, and the two will be slash. I'm going to cut this, and I'm going to add it here. All right, and what I'm going to do is I will also add the type here. So the type will be the submit. So let me add the submit. So we have this, and what we can do is we need to write this function. So let's have this function. I'm going to have a constant get OTP, which will be an arrow function. So let me add an arrow function, and here I'm simply going to do a console log of the number which we are going to type. Let's have an event here, and I'm going to add the event prevent default. All right, so now let's give a try. So I'm going to go to the browser, and I'm going to see here. So if I go here and if I refresh it, then I see there are a lot of errors. So let's fix those errors. So we just need to do the import part. So let me adjust the screens first. All right, so now we have adjusted the screen so we can see both here, and what we need to do is we don't have the form and the link. So let's import the link first. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to have the import, and I will import the link from the React Router DOM. All right, and then I will also need the use state. So let me have the use state. So this use state will be coming from the React, and then we need the form. So let me have the form here. All right, so now we also need the alert. So alert is also a Bootstrap component. So let's add the alert here, and now we don't have the error here. So we are using a error state, but we don't have the state. So let's create a error state which is very similar to the login. So we have here the error state. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm simply going to add it here. So let me add it here. All right, so now we have the alert state as well, and if we see, then we face some errors, and that will be that error is not defined. All right, so now we have resolved all the errors, and now you see that we have the default Philippines which we have added here, PH. We also have the input field where we can add the phone number. So now what we have to do here is that if we enter a phone number, and if we click on the send OTP, then we need an OTP on our phone so that we can add it, we can verify the user, and the user can be registered. To do that, what we have is we have a proper documentation provided by the Firebase. So if I show you that, then here you will see that the Firebase authentication with phone using the JavaScript. So here what we need to do here is that first we need to enable the phone number in the Firebase project. So if we go to the project, and here we have already added all this information. So I'm going to close this and I will go to the authentication, and inside this authentication you will see that if I click on the get started, then we see that there are a lot of authentication provided. So we already have the logic and the code for the email, password, and the Google Auth provider. This time we are making use of the phone. So let me enable all this first. So I'm going to enable this. All right, I will save it. I'm going to enable the Google as well. So I'm going to enable this and I will configure the email. So let me configure the email and I'm going to save this. And for the phone also we are going to do the same thing. All right, so the Google is also enabled, and now if I click on this and if we click on the phone, then I'm going to enable the phone as well, and I will just save this. All right, and the Firebase is by default providing us an SMS daily limit of 50 SMSs per day, and if we want to increase this limit, then we have to add the billing account information. So if we go back here, then we have already done the first step. The second step is to set up the reCAPTCHA verifier. And this is very important because we don't want to spam the Firebase SMS APIs. So we want that only legitimate users will be able to send the SMS and verify themselves. So what we are going to do is, in order to add the CAPTCHA verifier, we are going to make use of this code, the reCAPTCHA widget. So let's go in our Visual Studio Code and let's add that. So what I'm going to do here is that if we go to our user auth context, and in this user auth context I'm going to have the reCAPTCHA verifier, and this reCAPTCHA verifier is coming from the Firebase. All right, and then I will create a function. So let me create a function here. So I will have a function and I will name it as the setup reCAPTCHA. All right, and when we call this setup reCAPTCHA, we are going to pass the phone number. All right, so I'm going to pass the phone number, and then what we need to do is I'm going to create a constant of a reCAPTCHA verifier. So let me have the reCAPTCHA verifier, and this will be equals to, I need to create a new instance of the reCAPTCHA verifier. So I will have a new instance of it, and inside this instant, if I want to add the reCAPTCHA, then I have some values which I can provide it here. So if you see that you have a new instance of reCAPTCHA, and then you provide the sign in button, and then you have a object, and then you need to provide the auth instance. So we are going to do a very similar, but instead of adding this one, the invisible, we are going to make use of this reCAPTCHA. So here you will see that I'm going to add this information. So I'm just going to copy this. All right, and I'm simply going to add it here. All right, I will save it, and you will see that I have missed the code. So I'm going to add the code. All right, so now I have already added the reCAPTCHA, and what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to render this CAPTCHA on my screen. So to render this, what I will do, I'm going to take the instance of reCAPTCHA verifier and I'm going to use a render function. All right, so now we have added this, and now if we want to see the CAPTCHA on our browser, what we need to do is we need to add a div which will be having an ID of reCAPTCHA container. So I'm going to copy this. I will go to my phone sign up. So let me go to the phone sign up, and here what I will do here is after this I'm going to add a div in the form group. So I will have a div and I'm going to give the ID of this, and then I'm simply going to close that div. And now if I want to give a try, what I can do here is that if we go back to our auth, then we have to expose this function. So I'm going to copy this. I will go here and I'm going to add it in the value. All right, now it is exposed, and now we can make use of this in our sign up. So if I go to the sign up, all right, so first let's import the user auth context. So I'm going to have the import, and I will have the user auth. All right, we have imported it, and now we can make we can destructure the function. So our function was the setup reCAPTCHA. So I'm simply going to copy this. So let me copy this and I'm going to add it here, and this will be coming from the user auth. All right, so now I have that, and now if I want to make use of it, what I can do here is that let's do the validation as well, so that a user should not submit the empty fill. So what I will do is I will go here. I'm going to have the if my number is equals to empty, or my number is equals to undefined. So let me have the undefined. Then in this case, what I want is I want to return, and I want to set the error message. So what error message I'm going to set here is that please enter a valid phone number. All right, we have that. And then what we are going to do here is that let's initially we are going to let me close this. So I'm going to close this, And initially what I want is that whenever I have this, initially I want my error message to be an empty. So let's have the empty error message. And if everything this gets satisfied, we have a proper number, then in that case we are going to write a try catch block. So in the try, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a constant response, and this response will be equals to the, I'm going to use the async await. So let me add a async here. So let me add an async. All right, I'm going to give some space so that we can distinguish between that and await. Then I'm going to have the setup recaptcha, and I'm going to pass the phone number. All right, so we have passed this phone number, and then what we are going to do is I'm going to simply do a console log of this response. So let me have the console log, and I'm going to have the response, and then I'm going to also have a catch. So in the catch, what I will do is I'm going to have the error, and then I'm going to set the error as whatever the error message is. So I'm going to have the error message. Oops, this will become the message. All right, so we have done this, and now let's give a try, a simple try. So what I will do here is that I'm going to have the number. So if I click on the cancel, I will go back to my login page, and if I click on the phone number, then here I'm going to add my number. So my number is 956301257. All right, and now if I click on the send OTP, what is actually going to happen is it will actually going to call this setup recaptcha. And now what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to click on the send OTP. So if I click on the send OTP, my OTP should not be sent, but I should be able to see the captcha first. So let's click on it, and you will see that I can see the captcha now, and I'm saying that I am not a robot. And if I click on this captcha, then in that case I need to now send the OTP. So what we have to do is, in order to send the OTP, if we go back here, then here you will see that whenever your captcha is resolved, you have a callback function. And if we want to send the OTP, then here is the function, send a verification code to the user phone. So we are going to make use of this sign in with phone number function. So let's go and let's use this function. So I'm going to go back to my user auth context, and in the user auth context, let's have here sign in with phone number. So I'm going to have the sign in with phone number, and what I will do here is that once I have the captcha rendered, I have to return something. So I'm going to return here a function, and this function is going to be signed in with a phone number. And what happens, what actually it takes as an argument, the first argument is the auth instance. So we already have the auth instance, so let me have the auth instance, and the second parameter it actually takes is the phone number. So we already have this number, so I'm going to copy this and I'm going to add the phone number. And there is a third instance which is called the application verifier. For our case, the verifier is the reCAPTCHA verifier. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to add it here. All right, so we have done this, and now what is going to happen is whenever we resolve the captcha, it's automatically going to call this function, and then it's going to take these parameters, and based on that it's going to send a verification code to the user's mobile number. So as soon as it sends the verification code and we are returning this function, what we are going to get is we are going to get some response here, and we are already console logged this response. So let's go and let's give a try. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to inspect the element so that we can see that what response actually we get. So I'm going to increase the size here. All right, and let's increase the screen size as well. So I'm going to increase this as well. And now what I'm going to do here is that let's add my phone number. So I'm going to adding the phone number here, and now I'm going to click on the send OTP. So when I click on the send OTP, you will see that we have the captcha, and now I'm going to select this captcha. So as soon as I select this captcha, you see that I have two console logs. The first one is the number which I have used, and second is there is a confirmation result that a verification number is already sent to the phone number which we have added here. So now what we need to do here is that we now need to just verify the OTP which is sent to the user. So let's have a JSX where we are going to, once we get the OTP, we need to switch the screen to the OTP screen. So let's go back and let's create the OTP screen. So I'm going to go here and I'm simply going to copy this. So let's copy this form. All right, I'm going to copy this form and I'm going to add the form here. And here I'm going to have the verify OTP function, and I'm going to keep this same, and this will become basic OTP. So let me have the OTP, and instead of this I'm going to remove this, and for this I'm going to have the form control. So let me have the form dot control, and then inside the form control I'm going to have the type as a text. Let me add the text, and then I'm going to have a placeholder. So I'm going to add the placeholder as enter OTP, and then I'm going to have the on change. So let me have an on change, and this on change we have to have an event, and then I'm going to have the set OTP, and this set OTP will actually have the event dot target dot value. But right now you will see that we don't have anything related to the set OTP. So let's create one more state variable. I'm going to have a constant. I will have the OTP, and then I'm going to have the set OTP, and this will be equals to the use state. So we have that, and then we also don't have the verify OTP function. So let's create a simple function here. So I'm going to have a constant. I will have the verify OTP, which will be an arrow function, and it's going to have the event. So let me add the event, and I will simply going to have the event dot prevent default. All right, and I will save it. So right now we have this verify OTP, and this is giving me an error. So I will just refresh my page. All right, so now we can see that we have two screens. The first one is the send OTP, and second one is the verify OTP. So let's change this to verify by OTP, and what I want is this will if I click on the cancel, it will go back to the login page, and we also don't need the captcha identifier here. And now what we need is we only want to display one screen at a time. So let's create a state variable as a flag. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to have a constant. I will have a flag, and I'm going to have a set flag. All right, and this will be equals to the use state, and the initial value will be false. All right, and then what I'm going to do here is that here I'm going to add a condition. So let me add a condition. So I will have a style here. All right, and inside the style I will add a display. So if this flag is true, then in that case I want to display this block, and if not, then I want to display the none. All right, and I'm going to simply copy this, and I'm going to add the same in the OTP form. So if I go here, and we are going to add same, and here it will be this one. All right, so now we only see one screen, which is the OTP screen, and what we need to do here is that whenever we get the confirmation back, so here we get the confirmation in the response. So I need to store this confirmation. When I make use of the verify OTP, I have to use the same confirmation object. So for that, what I will do here is that let's create a state variable, and I'm going to have here a confirm object, and then I will have the set confirm object. All right, this will be equals to the use state. So now we have set it, and what we are going to do here is that as we console the response, I'm going to set the confirm object. So let me have the set confirm object, and that confirm object will actually take the response. All right, and once we get the response, I want to switch the OTP screen. So switch to the OTP screen, I'm going to set the flag. So let's change the flag to true. All right, so now this is going to switch the screen to the OTP screen. All right, so now what I'm going to do is, now let's give a try. So what I will do is I'm going to change this to my other number. So here let me select the country. So I'm going to select India, and I'm going to add my number here. All right, I'm going to click on the send OTP, and then I'm going to verify the captcha, and as soon as I verify the captcha, I'm getting an OTP on my phone. So now what I will do is I'm going to add the number. So the OTP which I got is 819738. All right, and now I'm going to click on this verify. I misspelled the verify spelling, so let's fix that. So let's go here, and this will change to verify. And when I click on this verify button, then we don't see anything is happening because we did not write any functionality for the verify. So right now if I simply do a console dot log, then we will just have the OTP number. So currently we don't have any functionality for the verify. So if I click on this verify, then we see the console, the OTP number. So now let's add this functionality. So what I'm going to do here is that now let's go here, and here if I select that if the OTP is equals to empty or the OTP is equals to null, then in that case what we will do is we are simply going to return from here. All right, but if it's not the case, then what we are going to do is I'm going to do a try, and I'm going to have the await, and we already have the confirmation object set in the confirm object. So I'm going to copy this, and let's add the confirm object here, and on this confirm object we have a confirm method. So I'm going to have the confirm method here, and in the confirm method I'm going to send the OTP number. All right, and let's have this async. All right, and now if I go here, then we will see that how a user is going to sign in the user with a verification code. So how you can do the verification code, you will have the confirm object. On that you will have the confirm code. So I've just added the OTP on this confirm. And now once this is done, what I want is, if a user is successfully authenticated, I need to navigate the user to the, so let me add the navigate, and I want the user to be navigated to the home component. So if the user is authenticated, then I have to navigate him to the home component. So let's import this navigate. So we already have the use navigate. So let me add the use navigate. All right. And here what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a constant navigate is equals to the use navigate. All right. We can use this instance of navigate here. But if this is not the case, then what we have to do is we have to catch the errors. So let me have the error, and then here I'm going to have the set error, and the error will be error message. And I will also do one thing. I'm going to set the error as an empty, because we want there shouldn't be display any error message when we actually try it. So I'm going to save this. All right, so now let's give a try. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the console log, and here I'm going to select my number. So let me have my number, and I'm going to add my number. All right, and then I'm going to do a send OTP, and I'm going to verify the captcha. And as soon as I verify the captcha, I'm going to get the OTP. So let me have the OTP, and the OTP this time is 994825. All right, and now I'm going to click on the verify OTP. So as soon as the OTP is, so let's try with the wrong OTP first, and I'm going to click on the verify OTP, and you will see that the auth invalid verification code, the code is not valid. Now I'm going to provide a valid code, and I'm going to click on the verify OTP, and this time you will see that the user is successfully authenticated, and we have signed in a user with his phone number. So if we want to verify, let's go to the Firebase console, and in the Firebase console, if I click on the users, then you will see that we have a user is validated now with a phone number. All right, so now if we go here and if we click on the logout, then we already have the functionality. So now the functionality is completed. Now we can sign in a user with a phone number as well. So let's give a try. If I want to sign in with a Google, then I'm going to click on the Google. A pop-up will be open, and in the pop-up I can select which account I want to open. So let's select this one, and you will see that now a user will be authenticated, and I'm going to have here. So if I go back here and if I refresh it, then you will see that now we have two users. One is registered with the phone number, other one is registered with the Google. And if you want to try with a email and the password, then we can do a sign up. So let's have a sign up with the page test@gmail.com, and I'm going to give a password of 128, and I'm going to click on the sign up. All right, and as soon as the user is signed up, so if we go back here and if we refresh it, then you will see that we have the third user. So let's go back, and I'm going to have the page test, and I'm going to select 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. I'm going to click on the login, and a user will be logged in. So now we have done this, and that's all I have in this video. I hope you liked the video. Thumbs up is appreciated. You can also connect with me via Facebook or Instagram. You can follow me on Twitter, and the latest code of this sign in with phone number will be available in the same repository, but there will be a separate branch of a phone auth, so you can download it and play around it. Thank you. Thanks for watching.